Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've posted something, but I'm really excited to show you these sequential LED turn signal lights. So please do consider subscribing if you're new, and if you're not, welcome back to the channel. So we do begin by actually taking off the mirror. I'll show you at the very end. It's a super simple process, just 3 bolts and a screw. So I took the mirror off, brought it inside. Of course, it's cold outside. It's in Canada, of course. So we're having to pop the actual mirror off. It is a little scary at first to do, but nothing that'll actually harm it. So go ahead and give it some force. It'll pop right off. And then you got to take off the 3, I guess, wiring harnesses that are connected to it that you saw there. Next up is 5 or 6 screws that really hold the whole thing together. So I'm just going to fast forward here through the actual unscrewing of the 5, but the most important one is the one in the center, which actually holds the, I guess, the assembly that the mirror snaps onto. So it's also of course, the longest screw, so it won't be that hard to misplace. So this part here, once you take the screw off, is relatively easy. So if you just go ahead and pop it right off, it pops right off. You can see the clip there that I had unclipped previously, I guess, off camera. There's a wiring harness that goes into this piece here, the actual motor that moves the mirror. So pop that off, and you're good to go to the next step, which is popping off the, I guess, the mirror cap. I do have these orange, I guess, trim removal tools, really inexpensive on Amazon, and they're awesome because they won't scratch any of the paint. So just kind of pry it underneath the actual mirror cap itself until you hear all the clips snap off, and then it comes right off. So from there, we want to just actually pop off the factory LED, I guess, repeater. And it pops right off really easy, and the wiring harness that comes on it, unfortunately, is not one that will fit on the replacement that was purchased from eBay. I found out after that the one I purchased is only for the European spec Kia Fortes or Ceratos, I guess, but they don't make one for the North American model, so I guess I was going to have to make my own connector. So you see there's 2 wires that do go into the factory harness, that little black one that you see there, red and black wire. So I'm going to go ahead and use those to connect to the replacement LED repeater. Now I'll go back to the splicing of the actual wires in a second, but as you can see there, there's going to be an obstruction of some plastic parts that you see in the actual mirror assembly. So I'm going to cut those out just to make room for the actual portion that houses the 2 prongs for the power and, I guess, the signal for the repeater. It's not the most professional looking job, of course, something that I just did quickly with a pair of cutters, I guess, and that did the job. Now moving towards the actual splicing portion of the 2 wires, so spliced off the ends, and of course the hardest part is actually finding a little butt connector that'll actually work for these. So I had this old set of Radio Shack butt connectors lying around, and you can tell by the name they're super old, but they actually ended up doing the job perfectly. So on one side of them, I actually had to snip off the yellow plastic piece that you'll see here in just a second, just to make it fit better inside that little area that they give you on the LED repeater. So did it for both. And the good news is when you do that, it kind of makes the metal on the one end a little tighter, so it's a perfect fit when you actually go ahead and put it into the LED. So I fed the wire into the little butt connector there, and then using some pliers, just really tighten them up, crimp them in place, so that way they won't really go anywhere. Did that for the second one, and then I went ahead and put the 2, I guess, ends into the the repeater there, and they fit good. They're snug. They won't really come out, but just to be sure, I did put a drop of Gorilla Glue in there, just so that just in case they do want to loosen out, they have something that's holding them in place. So there's a little drop of glue, and then I'll go ahead and tape up the actual end there, doing my best to try to keep water out, of course. I don't know if I'll be successful. I guess we'll find out later, but I guess go ahead and tape it up, and then we'll actually put it into the actual assembly, the mirror assembly. So this part is sort of one of the harder parts. You have near one of my my left hand there that you see, there's the area where you actually put the screw into. That will be what I'll be using to line up the whole piece. It feeds in through the right, and then if you line up the actual screw hole on the other side, that's the best way to do it. So I held it into place. I went ahead and put the screw in on the other side, and from there, once that's done, all you have to do is clip back the mirror cap on the actual assembly itself, and then basically you're reversing steps from what you did at the beginning. So I'll fast forward this part, of course. Nothing very fun watching me put a screw in place. So I put that screw in place. I put the mirror, I guess, paint cap back on, and then from here I'm just reversing steps. So we're going to put the 5 other screws in place, and then we'll put the center actual little motor thing that'll move the mirror also, and then that'll be really it for the whole hard part of things. I'll just snap the mirror back in place, and then I'll show you how I actually took the whole assembly off the door itself, because that's an important part. I guess if you really wanted, you can do this with the actual assembly on the door itself. I don't know how easy it would be, but it's definitely possible. So I put the wiring harness back in place, and this little motor, I guess it only snaps in one way. It's kind of dummy proof, so you don't have to worry about messing it up or anything like that. It'll only snap on in one way. So place the screw back in just to hold it in place, and then from there we're just reversing steps like I said before. This is the connector for the blind spot monitoring warning light, I guess. And then the 2 connectors that you see me putting in here are the ones that are for the I guess the heated mirror. I'm not sure if all regions or all Fortes have the heated mirrors, but yours might not. But mine seems to, so that's a step extra, I guess. Snap the mirror back in place, and now we're outside. So this screw is one of the screws I undid at the very beginning. So you actually have to remove the cap off the speaker using one of those orange, trim pry tools. I'll show you that in just a second here. So I undid that screw at the very beginning. There's also these 3 bolts you have to undo at the very beginning also. So put those back in place, and that's the cap that I was talking about. And all you have to do is just snap it off at the very beginning if you want to get at that part of the mirror. So in this case, I'm putting it back on, so I clipped it back in place, and that's it. We're done. I wanted to show you a before and after. Left side is the sequential turn signals, right is the, or was the factory. This is another view of it all done, both sides actually being replaced, and it looks really good in daylight, and I think it looks even better at night. So something that's really unique. I think it makes the car stand out, and yeah, definitely try to do it. It's not the most simple process, but it's also not impossible. So give it a try. Ask me questions in the comments if you have any. I do really appreciate you guys watching the videos. I have tons more coming up, and please do consider subscribing and watching one of the other videos on the channel. I do appreciate all the support. Thanks.